Alright, everyone start rolling with me here. I'll roll slow to start just to make sure everyone's moving. Perfect. So drivers, whenever we're in these long trains of cars, you always want to stay somewhat close together, and there's a couple reasons why. If we're on the way to an exercise, you don't want to fall behind and get separated. When we're actually driving around an exercise and through it, you want to make sure that you're somewhat close together. That way you're getting the same information at relatively the same time. Now, as we get out on the track, this is part of the track that we're going to run. We're going to go all the way around it to get back to the start line. On our way there, I'm going to point out a few different things for you. We will have a long straightaway here. I know it's slightly curved, but this is considered a straightaway. And then on every corner, you're going to see blue cones and yellow cones. Pretty much 99% of the corners have 3 colored cones. There's a blue at the beginning, there's a yellow in the middle, and a blue at the end of the corner. Reed probably mentioned them a little bit in the classroom. They are your guide for the perfect driving line. So you want to try to get within inches of every one of those cones. Now, we are realistic. I'd say if you can get within a foot of those cones, that's awesome. That is great. So we'll have these 3 corners that we're going through now, a little corner combination. And then we're going to have another long straightaway on the other side here. So like I said, long straightaway down here. We're going to open up these cars, feel the Bavarian horsepower under the hoods. And then drivers, you're going to notice some more cones. They're on the right side of the road. They're orange cones. Anytime you see orange cones and you pass by them, orange cones represent high speed down to low speed areas. To keep it simple, that just means heavy brake zones. Now drivers, I'm going to pull up to a couple green cones here and I'm going to come to a stop. So where we are currently sitting, this is going to be our staging area for the exercise. In the staging area, whoever is up front at any given time, you're always pulling up to the green cones that I stopped at here, and you're also coming to a stop. Then I will call you down individually, by name over the radio, and then you'll take off. Okay, you'll leave from the green cones pretty quickly, trying to get up to speed as quickly as you can. Now with that being said, drivers, I do want to point out one thing about these cars. When you accelerate, these cars have well over 700 horsepower. So if you just mash the gas pedal with all your might, you're going to spin the tires, you're going to lose grip, and you're going to go nowhere fast. So I'm not saying you have to just drive it like you're driving out of a parking lot, but roll onto the throttle quickly, just don't smash the throttle. Now let's go ahead and learn this track. So follow me. Let's stay close together. Let's imagine that we are getting up to speed. So I'm picking up speed, increasing throttle, and drivers, you might notice that I'm bringing the car out to the right side of the road. You probably can't see this cone because I'm currently blocking it, but just to my right, there is a tall blue cone. Now this tall blue cone, it is a reference for us on this track, and I'm going to be honest, this morning it doesn't really mean much. With that being said, this afternoon, this cone's going to mean a whole lot. So let's practice on getting all the way up to the right side of the road, and once we are pointed straight, remember, I said this is technically a straightaway, so it's full throttle, 100% on the gas pedal. We're picking up speed, and then we start to approach our brake zone. And drivers, there's going to be orange cones down here as well. They always go 3, 2, 1 on this part of the track. Right when your front bumper gets to the 3 orange cones, drivers, we're lifting off the gas quickly and slamming the brake. 10 out of 10, hard, heavy brake pressure. Holding that hard, heavy brake pressure as well. These cars get up to speed very, very quickly, and you're trying to get rid of that speed as quickly as you can. So keep holding that 10 out of 10 brakes until you start to get towards the end of the brake zone. Once you start to get towards the end of the brake zone, drivers, well, we start thinking about the corner. Now, for the corner coming up, we want to have a smooth release off the brake pedal. No matter what brake zone you're in, you always want to leave a little bit of room at the end of the brake zone for a smooth release off the brake. By the time you get to the first blue cone, which is called the turn-in cone, drivers, you should be off the brake pedal and beginning your turning. Now, you should be looking out the driver's side window for this corner. We're going to try to focus on a late apex. And I know Reed talked about some of the benefits of a late apex in the classroom. Well, in this corner specifically, we can see those benefits. So drivers, I have performed a late apex. And my car is pointed pretty much at the next corner. Now, if you look at the road ahead of us, it's slightly curved. Well, I have created a small straightaway, so I can get on power aggressively and get up to speed quickly. Now, if you perform a early apex or a early turn-in, instead of pointing towards the corner, you start pointing towards the grass over here to the right. Now, pointing at the grass isn't a bad thing as long as you don't go in the grass. Ultimately, though, if you're pointed at the grass, you can't get on the throttle, right? You gotta wait to get on power, let the car turn, and then go in the direction you want. So the late apex is all about positioning of the car at the apex. So let's say we did the perfect late apex. We have now created as straight of a line as we can. It's not perfectly straight, but it's close enough. So we feed in that power. This is a short straightaway, drivers. I'm going to be honest, you're not really getting to full throttle because this next corner comes up so quickly. This next corner, some instructors like to call it the elbow. For the elbow, you do have to brake before every turn. That's just a given. But for the elbow, you only have to brake at about a 50 to maybe 70% brake pressure. Just make sure you do that braking before you turn. We're applying the brakes to try to put some of the weight on the front tires before we turn through the corner. As we exit the corner, getting past the yellow cone, we squeeze back into the power, bringing the car out to the right side of the road. Drivers, we have another short straightaway. It is much shorter than the last one we just went down. So, yes, you're getting on power, but you're not at full throttle. This third corner here is the most important corner on the track. If you ask me why, well, it's the only corner that leads onto the straightaway. And if you want to go fast, you want to make sure you do this corner properly. To do this corner properly, it starts with the braking. It's a 50% brake pressure, almost up to an 80% brake pressure at times. So medium to heavy brake pressure. Do all of that braking before you start steering. From the time that you start to steer, all the way to this yellow apex cone that I'm going to stop next to, we're not really accelerating yet, drivers. The reason I say that is because two reasons. If you accelerate too early in the corner, you lose grip to the front tires. You understeer. Well, if that happens, losing grip to the front tires means you have less ability to steer, which is not great if you're in a corner. If you can't steer as much as you thought you could, that leads to issues, and that's reason number 2. I'm going to be honest, drivers. There is a guardrail on the right side of the road up here. Guardrails don't move. So, don't accelerate too early. Okay, let that car rotate, point in the direction you want to go, and then squeeze on the power. If you're patient on the gas pedal and you're smooth on the gas pedal, you're going to get a really good exit coming out of the corner. You'll naturally let the car go to the right side of the road, And then, hey, once you're pointed straight, it's full throttle. It's giving it the beans, hauling the mail, scenting it, whatever you want to call it. Picking up the speed. We do have 3 orange cones over here again, drivers. That is technically the brake point, and it is 10 out of 10 on the brakes for this corner. But I do want to preface this corner. This is the entry to pit road, or to the staging area. So we don't really want to fly through this corner. So maybe we brake a little bit before the 3 orange cones, get the car slowed down a little extra, because all the other cars are going to be parked right over here. Alright, drivers, that's the track. I know that was a slow lap, very detailed. Let's do a flowing lap here. Let's get a little rhythm going. So everyone's going to follow me. We'll pick up the speed a little bit. Nothing crazy here to start. Follow me. Bring the car out to the right side of the road. We'll start braking at the 3s. Still your hardest brake pressure is always first. Finish your braking before you steer. Look through the driver's side window. Squeeze on the power when you exit. Brush of the brake before the elbow. A little bit of power on the short straights, drivers. Braking before the 3rd corner as well. Turn your head, look down the straightaway. Squeeze on power. And we'll brake before the 3 orange cones. So drivers, that's just to show that there is a pretty good rhythm going through there if you get it right.